Hi there, welcome to the Ministry of Random Opinions. Today is an entirely unrehearsed rant or opinion on electric vehicles. Just saying the name drives me up the wall. I'm a petrol head, so I'm going to have a biased view, some may say, but actually this is a kind of unbiased view of what I think electric vehicles are doing to the planet in the name of environmentally conscious, eco-friendly kind of product. First of all, I just want to get under the skin of what EVs or the purchase and the promotion of electronic vehicles does, first of all, to the public. And it's no surprise that it does this, by the way. Like I said, this is unrehearsed, so I might do a lot of and ahhing on this video. I'll be really interested to see your comments below, especially from the guys that bought EVs and kind of how they feel about their purchase and how whether they feel good about what they've done. But what it does, when you introduce a new technology, it creates a disruption in the market, okay? And it creates change. And at first, that change is avoided by most. As humans, we don't really like change that much. I know people say that the change agents and everything else, but not really. Like if something changes, you notice it and it can impact you negatively. And that's what happens at first, and that's fine. But over time, it becomes more acceptable. And then what it does is it creates a demand, it creates a rush, and then more people consume. You just have to look at smartphones, for example. You only buy burner phones for a few set reasons now. If you want to take it somewhere abroad and you don't want people looking through your search history so that they don't let you in your country. Not that that's become topical or anything like that. You might buy a burner phone if a simple phone that just allows you to make a call, right? It's got no real purpose from a data perspective. Certainly no internet access. And it's just a simple phone, right? But now no one really buys those anymore. And you can buy cheap smartphones. No problem at all. But it creates a demand, and it almost creates a feeding frenzy, and you'll see that in EVs. So now, as governments demand, and it tends to be governments because they're under pressure from environmental action groups, etc., to push for improvements in the environment and more consideration to the environment, which is right, by the way. I'm not saying it's right. I'm not against saving the planet. That's definitely not what I'm here to voice my concern about. But what it does is it offers people this. I was going to say get out clause. It's the wrong statement, but it offers people I don't know, a reason. You go and buy something. Like, you've done your bit for the planet. Let's all feel better and slap each other on the back. And it creates or promotes consumption. Now, for the economy, consumption is good, obviously, or it's good if the economy you're serving or the economy that serves you is the one benefiting from it. And in the case of EV, that's not very prevalent in the UK. Maybe in parts production, battery production, those sorts of things. We don't really have a massive motor industry, or certainly not as a bigger motor industry as we did have before. So whether it serves us directly and plants back into the economy, not really sure. And I don't have the numbers to back it up, so I'm not going to make that claim, and I'm not going to rant about it. But it does promote consumption, and more people are consuming, right? And with new technologies as well, they tend to, because they develop so quickly, they tend to go out of date very quickly. Battery technology moves on. This vehicle, you can charge it from 0 to full in, 2 hours. But this vehicle over here, you can do it in 10 minutes. Now everyone wants this vehicle, right? So it creates that consumption. My concern is that also as technology has developed, battery life has also developed. So what you tend to find is with older electric vehicles, they tend to be bought secondhand by people with lower incomes because they want to do their bit for the environment. It tends to leave them with an issue. It tends to leave them with a cost issue, a burgeoning issue, liability, if you will, that those batteries go out of condition and then they've got to replace those batteries. And those batteries initially, they were quite expensive because they were big units, they weren't modular. Right now, there are blade batteries, which I think will soften the cost. But right now, there is a glut of, and I'm going to call it, apologies, Renault, I'm just using your name. It's not in vain, but I'm just using your name. Actually, I won't use Renault. I'll use Nissan because I think Nissan was more like this. So look, you go online now, you can find Nissan Leafs on the Nissan Leaf car. I guess Leaves is the plural, or is it Leafs? It's Leafs, isn't it? You can find those now online. You can pick them up on eBay pretty cheap, right? Yeah, I'm buying an electric car. I'm doing my bit for the planet. But you are driving a liability. That battery is not going to get better in condition. It's only going to get worse over time. Its useful life, and therefore its range is reducing as its useful life comes to an end. And that leaves you with a car that becomes pretty much useless. Now, what do you do with that car? Well, you're going to scrap it, and the battery's going to go where? The lithium's going to go where? And this is my big problem. Okay, there were minerals and materials used in the production of petrol engine and diesel engine cars, but there weren't things like lithium. Some things in the cars were difficult to dispose of, and I get that 100%. There is an environmental impact to scrapping a car, but more of it was, I think, more of the more toxic stuff could be recycled, etc. Equally, I think that the infrastructure is so that supports driving an electric vehicle is so embryonic. It's to the point of like inconvenience, complete inconvenience. That the infrastructure is getting there, but it's being implemented by organizations, not non-for-profit organizations, but organizations that want to make money out of it. And those organizations tend to be organizations that sold you petrol and diesel once, right? And so they charge you quite a lot of money. And if you haven't got the ability to put a charger in at your house, you're kind of stuck. So until the government comes in with not necessarily a subsidised, but a real cost alternative for people that want to be able to charge their EVs not at home, at a local station, supermarket, etc., then it's going to be a problem and it's more expensive to run. There's another issue here as well, which is does hack me off a little bit, which is electric's not clean. I'd like to say it was clean, but it's not. It's not clean to generate, which is a bit of a problem, right? So, when you charge your car, your EV, are you really helping the environment? Look, that's an age-old argument. Since EVs have been going on, everyone's been talking about that. I'm not going to dwell on it. But I think we're leaving a bit of a ticking time bomb. So things are, vehicles are collected, they're mounting up, vehicles that are no longer being able to be used. Or if they are, batteries replaced, so we're left with a battery. What are we doing with it? Where is the innovation that enables us to deal with some of the nasty bits of battery production in a way that is environmentally friendly, where it can be reused, put to use, and actually, be helpful to the planet, rather than dumped in a hole in the ground. I'm not saying that's what happens because I don't really know, but I do know that it doesn't really serve any purpose after it's been a battery. It's kind of waste, right? So it concerns me. Now, everything that I've said, there are positives to that. Consumption has a positive to the economy. Having a new car that's more efficient and safer to use is better for the general population. There's less carbon in the air directly from the vehicle itself. Forget the charging process and the manufacturing process, that's a given. But during the life of it. But here's the problem I kind of have as well, is you can produce petrol that's environmentally friendly and puts carbon, but and locks carbon away. There is a way of doing this with a petrol engine that means we don't all have to change our cars, and that is the fundamental bit that pisses me off. Is this drive from someone who's got more money than you to impose regulations, to impose stricture that drives you to buy something you can't afford. I just the average GDP per capita in this country isn't going up by much. It's not improving very quickly. Production seems to be at a standstill. But we're relying on consumption and profiteering to make the economy better. But it's not filtering down to the people that have to buy these cars that don't or can't afford it. That pisses me off. A bit of a long rant, sorry. Maybe I'll try and make it shorter, maybe I won't, maybe I'll publish this, we'll see. Like and subscribe, listen to my next rant. If you've got comments on this, I've only touched the surface of this issue. If you've got, I'll probably do another video even if I post this one. But like and subscribe, put your comments down below. Yeah, make a video, link it to it. If you disagree with me, we can have a kind of YouTube chat. Or if you really want to, you can come and do a virtual meeting with me and we can rant our tits off and I can put it online. How about that as an offer? Thanks very much.